All right, guys, we are ready to finish this project up. So we have already worked on the first three objects that we created for badge number 2. And in order to earn badge number 3, we're working on you developing more of your independence with creating your objects so that you can get yourself prepared for the next badge, which is where you get to create your own design. So last time we worked on the sunglasses and our little crab friends. So now all we have left are the seashells in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle off the visibility for all of these. And I'm going to show you guys something cool that you can do if you just do a left click and then just swipe down. You don't have to individually click every single one. So that's kind of cool. And let's make sure we're on our seashells layer. I'm going to center my artboard and zoom out just a little bit. So we are working on making the seashells, and I want to show you kind of what that's going to be like. So these are some seashells that I made before, and you can see I have a couple different varieties. So again, you will get to choose exactly what you want. Can't get my art space the way I want. All right, so let me show you how to get started with it. I am going to start with a rectangle. So get my rectangle tool up. And the color that I want for this one is a blue color. So I'm going to do 9, 5, D, 8, C, D. And then I do want an outline for this, and it's going to be a darker blue. So that code is 2, 4, 9, 7, A3. Go. See, so I've got the fill colors, this lighter blue and almost a turquoise color for the stroke value. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. This does not have to be exact because we are going to be altering it. So let's do, I think before, just so you have a base shape, I did 16 by 120. And I am going to zoom in so I can see it a little better. Now that we have our rectangle, we're going to add an anchor point right there in that center section. So I'm going to come over here to where my pen tool is, click on Add Anchor Point, and right there in the middle, I'm going to add one. Go to my Direct Selection tool because I want to alter it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it up. And the seashell is actually got a curved point to it. So I'm going to go ahead and curve that. And then I'm just going to make some adjustments. I do want to get these rounded as well. So I'm going to click on that corner and hold down Shift so I can select both corners now. And then once I notice that my cursor has that little rounded point underneath it, they are both selected, I can just drag and you can see that it rounds both corners together. And I still want to get it more so it's like that shape there or these shapes here. That one looks more like a diamond. It all depends on how you want your final seashell to be. But in order to adjust it, we got to come back over here to these anchor points and just kind of drag it out to the shape you want it to be. You can adjust your handle. You can adjust the position of your anchor points the way you want them. It is totally up to you. That's going to work for me for now. All right, so this is going to be the center one, and then we're going to add some copies to it. So going back to my selection tool, make sure I'm selected. I'm going to come up here to Object, Transform, Rotate, and I'm going to rotate it about, let's do 12 degrees. And then we're going to do rotate a copy because we're making a copy of it. So I'm going to drag it over a little bit so that it kind of intersects. Maybe move it down just slightly. And I'm going to do that again. Object, Transform, Rotate 12 degrees, a copy. Move Move it over and down slightly. And another one. Object, transform, rotate a copy. You can kind of see hopefully what I'm doing with this. I need one more. Object, transform, rotate, copy. There we go. And that one down just a little bit. So now what I want to do, obviously I need some on this side over here. So I am going to select just these 4, not that one, and do your first one, hold down Shift, and then click on the next 3. So I have those 4 selected, and I'm going to make a copy of it and reflect it over here. So Object, Transform, Reflect, Copy. And right now they're all grouped, so I can move them together. I'm going to put it in place, and you can see we have the base shape for our seashell. So now what I want to do is I'm going to grab all of them together, and using my Pathfinder, I'm going to unite them so it becomes into one shape. So if you like just that as your seashell, that you could use that. But what I did is I added these points on the side, and then I had a rounded section. So if you like it like that, then all I would do is the ellipse next. You can put the ellipse, draw it over there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just the size that you want to cover. And then you will need to take off this front part here. So in order to do that, we take a line segment, draw it through the center. We're going to use the line, hold down Shift, and then grab that ellipse. And we want to go ahead and do Shift M, because we're going to delete this section here. So if you hold down Alt, remember it changes it to minus. And then I want to get rid of that thing there. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Forgot to divide. So we're going to divide. Try and get rid of my email notification. Yep, wrong thing. Try it again. Forgot to divide, so we're going to come up here and divide. Let's see if that worked. Okay, there we go, divide. Now let's do Shift M, and let's delete that part. And then I need to also get that line right there deleted. So I'm going to try it one more time, Shift M, and see if it'll let me just get that line. Nope. It worked for me the last time, and now it's not working. Hold on just a second. I'm going to move it over. All right, grab it, Shift M, and let's see if it'll let me get rid of it this time. There we go. Okay, so you might have to play with it. You saw that I was able to go back and show you. So I held down Alt, and with that middle line got a little bit more highlighted. I deleted that, and then right up here, delete that. Because what I don't want is I don't want that outline, that stroke going across here. That was what I was trying to get rid of. So now I can put this in place, and I'm going to shift it up. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because it's not quite the size that I want it to be. And this is where you get to do your fine tuning and adjusting to make your seashell the way you want it. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and see if it'll allow me to adjust these anchor points. Kind of bring that out for that little bottom section. And I want to round those corners. Don't want a 90-degree angle on it. And kind of works, kind of doesn't work. Now, let me show you what I did with the other one. So with this one here, it's actually, I cut off, zoom in so you can see, I cut off the bottom sections that were sticking out, and these are just actually two separate pieces. I did one piece, which is a rounded rectangle, and then I copied it and reflected it and put it in over there. So we could obviously do that if you want. First, let me move this out of the way. I'm going to cut this away because I'm not liking how it looks. So I'm going to put in my line segment and grab that base shape in the line segment. Use our Pathfinder to divide, and then grab everything, Shift M, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I was not happy with how that was looking. All right, let me put that back in place now. Oops, you know what we need to do? We need to bring this circle in front because now you can see this is showing up. So I want this to cover it. So we do right click, arrange, bring to front. There we go. Now let me get a rounded rectangle and kind of draw it in there. I want it to be sent to the back. There we go. And now I'll use my direct selection tool and kind of modify the shape a little bit so it looks more like a seashell. Whatever. That works for me. All right, so object, transform, reflect a copy. And let's put that copy over here. Rotate it a little bit. It looked like it was what it should be. All right, we are almost done. So the last thing we need to do, if you see here, I have all these lines coming down to give it a little depth. So we're going to pick our line segment tool. And I do want that same stroke color, but I don't want it to be as thick. So I'm going to lower the stroke value a little bit. So just a half a point. And then using those lines, I'm just going to draw downwards towards the center. You can vary the length. You can play with this and see how it comes out. If you want the lines to be thicker, then make them thicker. And one more. There we go. And there is my seashell. So zoom out, and you can notice if I bring everything back in, I have a gigantic seashell. So I am going to grab it. I'm going to group it so it's one object, and then hold down Shift, or it's grouped as one object, and hold down Shift, and then I'm going to shrink it. And now I've got a smaller one, and just like our crabs, if I grab on, hold down Alt, and I'm going to make copies of it so I can have several seashells. I'm going to change the size so they're varying in size. I don't want them all to be exactly the same. Move them around. And place them where they're going to be in my final image. Now you can change the color of your seashell if you want. So right now it's grouped. So in order to change the color, we have to ungroup it. So Shift Command G will ungroup. Grab the section that you want. So I'm going to grab that one, that little half circle, and then that. The only thing I don't want to grab are those lines. And let's change our fill color. Let's do like almost a beige. That one actually looks good. So I'm going to stick with that one, a beige color. And let's change our outline. Our stroke doesn't look good if it's beige, so let's see. How about a little bit of a brown color to it? There we go. That looks good. So now I just want to make sure I know what that stroke value is. So there it is. So I'm going to copy that, and that's Command C. And then let's select these lines. Oops, did not want to get that one for some reason. There we go. Remember to hold down Shift so you can individually get those all grouped together. Click on that, come over here, and I'm going to paste that value in. So that's Command V, and then hit OK. And now I've got a different colored seashell. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink that one, and I'm going to hold down Alt and make some copies. So now that I have several seashells, oops, grab that whole thing. You might want to make sure that you group each one. So Command G, otherwise once you start to move them, you're just going to move a part and not the whole thing. There we go. So another seashell that I tried to make, no, it's not on that one. This one here, it's a little bit funkier of a seashell. So you can try this if you want. If you're getting frustrated and it's not working, you can skip it. But what I did with this one is I started with an ellipse. It's about 147 by 87. So I'm going to come up here and type it in instead of trying to get it the right way. And I want it to be the same as that, so I'm going to use my eyedropper tool. There we go. So it does the same fill and stroke value. And then what we do is we add a little anchor point over here on the outside. And we're going to kind of alter this into kind of like a moon shape. So I'm going to drag that a little bit. I want this to be a little bit more pointy, and I need this to drop down. Let's see, I think I might need to add one more anchor point because I really want to, it's just saying I wasn't on the path when I was trying to move that in. Really, there we go. I want to kind of curve that up, make sure it's actually a circular. And that should work. It's not perfect because we don't have time for perfect right now. Okay, now I want to add another ellipse that's going to be kind of right in here. And I want it to be that full dark color. So I'm going to copy that color code. So do Command C and hit OK. So now I'm going to draw my circle, my ellipse. And for the fill color, I'm going to put that darker color in. So I did Command V in there for my color code and hit OK. And now let's put this in. And I want to move it behind. So right click, arrange, send to back. There we go. Needs to be just slightly bigger because I want it to kind of look like that seashell. Here we go. That'll work. Now you notice on these here, so you can make your shape a little bit better. My shape's not perfect. Like I said, that's okay. I'm going to move that down a little bit more. And now we're just going to do lines to kind of give it that look. So I'm going to make sure my stroke value is that darker color. And I want actually over here in the line segment to get the arc tool because we're going to do a curved line so that it kind of gives the illusion. Let's see, that one went the opposite way. So all we have to do for that is do Object, Transform, Reflect. You notice that it will move it for us and reflect it across. And then I want to put a little spiral. I'm actually going to move that up so I have a little bit more room for my spiral. There we go. So now come back over here to where your line segment tools are and get your spiral and just start pulling out and you get your spiral. So you can alter the size of it. You can cut portions of it. Oops, Command Z, I did not want that to move. There we go. I want this to spread out a little bit, like that, and rotate slightly. There we go. So again, this is not a perfect seashell. I am well aware of that, but this is just to give us some idea of things that we can create. This is us learning the tools and how to use them. Next assignment, you guys will actually work on making your own project and perfecting your objects the way you want it to be. I'm going to make a couple copies, shrink them down because I know they're way too big. Seashells are not supposed to be super large. And let's go ahead and make a couple blue ones. So just like we did when we changed the blue to this, I noticed there's a line, extra line there. Oh well, no biggie. Let's go ahead and get our eyedropper and do that. Oops. Try that again. There we go. So I got that, but I want that inner circle because it's grouped. I got to ungroup it, Shift Command G. I want to choose just that inner circle. There we go. And I want it to have that fill color. So let me copy what that is. Command copy. Or sorry, that outline color. I want the fill color to be it. There we go. So paste it in there for my fill. And voila. There we go. So now I've got some blue ones. Group it back together. So I can now make copies of it and have several of them. Probably have more seashells than really what I need to have. But there we go. All right, the last thing that we have to do is I'm going to unlock these so that I can move stuff where I want it. First, I'm going to move my little crabbies around and put my seashells around. I'm going to actually move my seashells up here to the top, that layer, because you notice the surfboard is covering them up. So if I move that layer on top, then that brings all of my seashells up above it. Yeah, I think I got way too many seashells. That's okay. Move some around. And all we have left to do after you arrange your art space. That's a big seashell. Come on, Crabby, you come over here. Papa crab was too big. Making all of my shapes are rather large. So I'm just fine-tuning that. Okay, works well enough. Now let's do our background. So our background, we definitely want it to be the very bottom layer because everything else is going to be on top of it. And a background is so easy to do. You're just going to come over here and get your rectangle tool and then draw a rectangle that is the same size as your art space. Now right now, since this is an object, it's a rectangle, it has this fill color and this stroke value. I'm going to make sure that I don't have an outline. And you could have your entire background just a solid color, but I want this to look like an actual beach scene. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to use my gradient tool. So I'm going to click on the gradient. Should be over here if it's not already. There it is. And find your gradient. If it's not open, come up here to Window and then turn on your gradient. And I don't want black and white. I want this gold dust. And obviously that does not look like a beach, so I have to change my colors. So this is just if you want a gradient with 4 different values to start with. So I'm going to change this color. I want my color wheel. There we go. Let's do that. To more of a sand color. So I'm going to find something that looks more like sand to me. That one kind of does. So if you want to do the same as me, that's D3, BD, 9F. And this one here needs to be slightly darker than what I had. So I'm going to find one that kind of looks good. And now I'm going to start getting to like this is water. So I want this color, I wish it would stop doing that, to be a blue. I'm going to start with a light blue. And then that one, I want it to be a darker blue. I want it to look like it's getting into the water. Okay, now here's the cool part. You can adjust this. So if I want that blue, more water to come through, I can move the adjustments. I can actually add more colors in between, and that just means you come over here and you click on it and you can add another color. I really wish it would stop doing that. So if I wanted a different color to go in there, that's kind of abrupt, so I'm going to alter it just a little bit more. You can lower the opacity of it, so maybe it's not so intense. So I'm going to do maybe 80 on that one, and that lightens it up a bit. And so then you can see how we can gradually, if I want to do another color in there for my sand, make it maybe a little bit lighter. And then you can also adjust on here how you want it to be. So that is how you make yours look more like an actual beach scene, going from sand to water. I'm going to move my sunglasses, maybe do some final adjustments, moving everything around. I want that crabby guy over there. This crabby guy wants to get on the towel. Oh, look what happened. I need to change that layer. Where'd my layers go? There they are. Crabs need to be moved on top. There you go. So he can actually be on top of the towel there. So that is it. When you have your final image, you have things the way that you want it to be. And I know you guys see me. I keep playing with it, messing with it. You don't need to be messing with it too much. Just get it with all of your objects created, your background done, and it's time for our screenshot. So remember, in order to do a screenshot, you hold down Shift and Command and then press the number 4 and you'll get your crosshairs. Drag your crosshairs over your art space, capture what you created, sends it to your desktop, and that is your first completed piece of artwork using Adobe Illustrator for this class. So you will turn that into Canvas, and then you will go away. Sorry guys. You will then start working on your next badge, and on your next badge what you're going to do is create your own art piece. So you can decide what subject you want it to be, what theme you want it to be. Halloween will be coming up here before too much longer. You could do a Halloween themed flat design, which would be really awesome because you could do ghosts, you could do pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, you can do Frankenstein faces. I mean, all sorts of cool stuff. Maybe if you're not into Halloween, you want to do a fall theme. Maybe you want to do a garden theme. There are so many options available to you. I've seen some really cool artwork that kids have created when they use all of the skills that they've learned using Illustrator. So come up with some ideas. You can draw them out first. The exact directions for the next badge are ready for you in Canvas, so make sure you take a look at that and then have fun creating. I hope you guys learned a lot.